Blessings, everyone. Welcome in. I'm happy you're here. Let's go ahead and settle into this message and see what wants to come through for the collective today. Please use your own discernment with all messages. Take what feels helpful, grounded, and true for your situation, and leave what does not. This is not fortune-telling. We're using the tarot as symbolic, emotional, and psychological reflection, okay? So pray over it, meditate on it, sit with it, and only claim what supports your healing. All right? Let's get into it. Spirit of love, truth, clarity, and protection, please surround this reading with peace. Please bring forward only messages that support healing, wisdom, emotional honesty, and the highest good of the collective. Help us see what has been hidden beneath silence, distance, fear, and pride. Please and thank you. Okay, first card out, 9 of Swords. Wow, give me a second. This is heavy. This is the energy of someone who has not been sleeping peacefully. And I don't want to say that in a dramatic way. Okay, but symbolically, this card is showing a mind that has become a room they cannot escape. Thoughts repeating, regret repeating, conversations they never had with you repeating. I keep hearing, I made it too hard for us. That is the core of this reading. This distant masculine, whether this is someone you loved, someone you were connected to, someone who pulled back, went cold, became inconsistent, or made you feel like loving them required passing some impossible test. They are sitting with the weight of that now. And what's interesting is, I don't feel like this person expected their own silence to become this loud. They thought distance would protect them, but it only exposed their feelings. Yeah, this person made love feel like a test. They made you wonder if you were asking for too much when really, you may have only been asking for honesty, emotional presence, basic reassurance, something real. And now, with this 9 of Swords, they are finally seeing what they put you through. There is guilt here. There is emotional pressure here. There is a realization that they complicated something that could have been soft. They turned safety into confusion. They turned love into overthinking. And they didn't know how to say this. But the apology energy is already underneath the surface. And I'm looking at this Moonlight card here. It came out reversed. Okay, that feels important. Because Moonlight, upright, would be about what is gently being revealed. What the heart can see when the ego gets quiet. What comes forward in the stillness, in the soft places, in the private moments when nobody is performing anymore. But reversed. This is someone who has been avoiding the truth that was already glowing right in front of them. Yeah, it's like the light was there, but they kept turning away from it. They kept acting like they needed more proof, more time, more certainty, more control, when really, the connection was already speaking. Your energy was already speaking. The way you cared, the way you tried, the way you showed up, that was already speaking. And I feel like that is part of the wound here. You may have felt like, how many times do I have to make my heart understandable to you? How many times do I have to explain that I'm not trying to trap you? I'm not trying to control you. I'm not trying to take anything from you. I'm just asking you to meet me with some honesty, some steadiness, some emotional respect. Because I don't feel like you are asking this person to become perfect overnight. No, you are not asking for some impossible version of love. You are asking for something very human. A message that didn't leave you spiraling. A conversation that didn't turn into silence. A little reassurance when the energy changed. A little accountability when they pulled away. Something that let your nervous system know, okay, I'm not crazy, I'm not imagining this. I'm not the only one feeling something here. And this person made that hard. They made simple things feel heavy. They made clarity feel like a demand. They made emotional honesty feel like pressure. And I feel like now, with this Moonlight reversed, they are realizing they kept you in the dark while expecting you to trust what you could not see. Give me a second, because that's the part that feels tender. They wanted your softness. but they did not give you safety. They wanted your patience, but they did not give you peace. They wanted to feel understood, but they did not always make space to understand what their distance was doing to you. And that apology is not fully out of their mouth yet, but it is forming in the body. It is forming in the chest. It is forming in those late-night thoughts where they finally have to admit, I didn't make this easier for them. I made them question love that could have been simple. And the next energy is going to show us why. Because I don't feel like this was random. I feel like there is a reason this masculine made love feel so difficult. And look at what came out. Wheel of Fortune, reversed. Okay, that tells me a lot. Because this is the energy of someone who kept trying to control the timing, control the outcome, control how vulnerable they had to be, control how much of themselves they revealed. It's like they wanted love to move only when they felt safe, only when they felt prepared, only when they felt like they wouldn't lose power. But love does not always wait for the ego to feel ready. Yeah, and I feel like that is what scared this person. It was not that they did not feel anything. I want to be clear with that, okay? Because the way this is coming through, the feeling was actually part of the problem for them. The more they felt, the more exposed they became. The more they cared, the more they felt like they were losing control of the version of themselves they had built. This may be someone who knows how to function. They know how to keep going. They know how to act like everything is fine. They know how to stay busy, stay logical, stay detached, stay quiet. But emotional intimacy? That is where the wheel started turning in a way they could not manage. And instead of saying, I'm scared, they pulled back. Instead of saying, this matters to me more than I know how to admit, they went cold. Instead of saying, I don't know how to receive this kind of love without feeling vulnerable, they made you feel like you were the problem for needing clarity, and that is where the hurt happened. Because fear can explain distance, but it does not erase what that distance did to you. It does not erase the nights you had to soothe yourself because they would not communicate. It does not erase the way you questioned your intuition. It does not erase the way you kept trying to be softer, calmer, more patient, more understanding, just to keep the connection from falling apart. Give me a second. This person guarded their heart so tightly that they did not realize they were locking you out. They thought they were protecting themselves from being hurt, but they ended up hurting someone who may have only been trying to love them with honesty. And your basic needs triggered something deeper in them. Not because your needs were wrong, but because your need for presence confronted their fear of being truly seen. Now, with this Wheel of Fortune reversed, they are looking at the cycle differently. They are starting to understand that what they called pressure may have actually been love asking to be respected. And the next part feels important, because I think they are seeing your love in a way they did not see it before. And now we have the Six of Swords. Yeah, this makes sense, because Six of Swords is movement, but it is not loud movement. It is not dramatic movement. It is not somebody slamming a door and making a scene. This is quiet movement. This is the kind of movement that happens when someone has carried too much in their mind for too long, and they finally say, I can't keep sitting in this same pain. And I feel like, for some of you, this is your energy too. You may have moved emotionally, maybe not all the way, maybe not in a way everyone can see. But something in you stopped fighting to be understood by someone who kept making your heart feel like a problem. You didn't necessarily stop caring. You just stopped rowing the whole boat by yourself, okay? And that is what this masculine is noticing now. Because when you were present, when you were patient, when you were still trying to explain your heart, they may have taken that for granted. Not because your love was small, but because it was available, it was steady, it was there. And sometimes people do not understand the value of peace until they are left alone with their own chaos. Give me a second. Silence became a mirror for this person. Absence became the teacher. Now they are replaying moments where you tried to communicate without attacking them, where you tried to be gentle even when you were hurt, where you tried to give them room without abandoning yourself completely. And I feel like they are realizing that your softness was not weakness. Your patience was not desperation. Your understanding was not something they were entitled to. It was love. And I think that is landing differently now. Because fear made them defensive, but distance made them reflective. When they were close to you, they may have reacted to the feeling. They may have pushed against the vulnerability. They may have treated your care like pressure because they did not know how to receive it. But now, with this Six of Swords, they are looking back at what you were actually offering. Emotional safety. A place to be honest. A connection that did not need to be perfect, but did need to be real. And I don't feel like you were begging this person to love you. No, I feel like you were inviting them into something softer than what they were used to. And they complicated it because simple love felt unfamiliar. Now the apology is getting deeper. Because this is not just about them realizing they hurt you. This is about them realizing they betrayed their own heart too. And now we have the Two of Cups. Reversed. Okay, that is very direct because the Two of Cups, upright, is mutual recognition. It is two hearts meeting. It is emotional exchange. It is, I see you, you see me. We may be different, but there is something here that wants to be honored with care. But reversed? This is where the connection got distorted. This is where two people may have felt something, but one person could not meet it with the maturity it deserved. This is where love was present, but the behavior did not match the feeling. And I feel like this masculine is sitting with that now. I don't feel like this is someone who is proud of how they handled you. No. And honestly, I don't feel like their silence right now is simply rejection. For some of you, this silence feels like shame. It feels like someone who knows they created a break in something that was actually meaningful, and now they don't know how to step back toward it without facing the damage. Because once they saw your value, they also had to see their immaturity. Yeah, that is not easy for the ego. It is one thing to miss someone. It is another thing to realize, I am the reason this feels unsafe now. I am the reason they had to pull their energy back. I am the reason something sacred started feeling heavy. Give me a second. This person may even be angry, but not at you. They may be frustrated with themselves. Frustrated that they did not speak when they had the chance. Frustrated that they made pride more important than presence. Frustrated that they let fear interrupt something their heart actually wanted. And that is why a simple apology may feel too small to them. Not because an apology does not matter. It does. But because they know this is not just, sorry I didn't text back. This is deeper. This is, I'm sorry I made you feel alone in something we both felt. This is, I'm sorry I let you carry the emotional weight while I hid behind silence. This is, I'm sorry I made you question whether your love was safe with me. And I feel like that is what has them frozen. Because coming forward would mean they cannot pretend anymore. They cannot act like nothing happened. They cannot just slide back in casually and expect your heart to forget what it had to survive. This Two of Cups reversed is showing a bond that got misaligned. Not because there was nothing there, but because someone did not know how to honor what was there. And the next energy feels like it is bringing forward the words they have not had the courage to say yet. And we have the Four of Wands, reversed. Okay, that is tender. Because Four of Wands upright can speak to safety, celebration, home, coming together. That feeling of, we can rest here, we can build something here. We can let this be a place where the heart does not have to keep bracing. But, reversed? This is the apology around the home that was never fully built. Not necessarily a physical home, okay, but an emotional one. The place this connection could have become. And I feel like what this masculine wishes they could say is, I made it too hard for us to feel safe with each other. Yeah, not because there was no foundation. There was something there, but they kept shaking it with inconsistency. They kept making you wonder if you were standing on solid ground, or if everything could disappear the moment they got overwhelmed. And this is where I feel the words pressing against the throat. It is like, I made you prove what was already real. I made you keep showing me love when I was not showing you security. I punished you for fears you did not create. Give me a second, because this does not feel like a clean, easy apology. It feels like someone trying to find language for something they avoided for a long time. They may want to say, you were not asking for too much. You were asking me to stop making you feel alone. You were asking me to stop turning my fear into your burden. You were asking me to meet you in the middle, and I kept moving the middle. Wow, that line feels important. I kept moving the middle. Every time you adjusted, they shifted. Every time you tried to understand them, there was another wall. Every time you softened, they got distant. And I feel like now they can see how exhausting that must have been for you. Because with the Four of Wands reversed, this is not just about romance. This is about emotional instability. This is about the connection never being allowed to settle because one person kept treating peace like it was dangerous. And again, this is symbolic reflection, okay? Use your discernment. But the apology energy here is saying, I know I made you question whether there was room for you in my life, in my heart, in my future, when the truth is, I was scared of what it would require from me to actually make space. And there is one pattern they keep replaying, one specific way they made the connection unstable. And I feel like that is where the deepest regret is sitting. And now we have the Two of Swords, reversed. Okay, this is the pattern. Because Two of Swords upright can be that place of indecision, avoidance, not wanting to look at something directly, keeping the heart guarded, keeping the truth at a distance. But reversed, the blindfold starts slipping. The avoidance starts becoming impossible. And what I feel here is, this person regrets the way they kept you suspended. Yeah, they would come close enough for you to feel the connection, and then pull back far enough for you to question it. They would give warmth, then silence. Interest, then distance. Emotion, then logic. A little softness, then a wall. And I feel like this is the part they keep replaying, because they know now that their inconsistency did something to your nervous system. It trained you to wait for the shift. It trained you to read the room before you spoke. It trained you to wonder, okay, are they present today? Or am I about to be met with distance again? And that is exhausting. That is not love being easy. That is love becoming something you have to decode. Give me a second. Because I feel like many of you became very careful with your needs around this person. Not because your needs were too much, but because their reactions taught you to measure every word. You may have started asking for less, explaining less, hoping they would just understand without you having to bring it up again. And that is where this apology becomes very specific. It is not just, I'm sorry I hurt you. It is, I'm sorry I made you feel like the truth of us depended on my mood. It is, I'm sorry I gave you enough to feel connected, but not enough to feel secure. It is, I'm sorry I let pride and fear make me emotionally unavailable when you were trying to meet me with honesty. And I don't feel bitterness in this. I feel recognition. This masculine is seeing that the hot and cold behavior was not neutral. It created confusion. It created overthinking. It made you carry questions that they could have answered with one honest conversation. And with this Two of Swords reversed, something is being uncovered. They cannot hide behind confusion forever. They cannot keep saying they did not know. Because they did know something. They knew your heart was there. They knew you were trying. They knew the connection mattered. And the next energy feels like it is going to show what changed inside of you When you finally stop chasing clarity from someone who kept withholding it. And we have the Page of Cups. Okay, this is such a soft card to come after all of that, because Page of Cups is tender. It is emotional openness. It is the part of the heart that still believes in sincerity, still believes in kindness, still believes that love does not have to be harsh to be real. But what I'm feeling here is not you chasing. No. This feels like your heart returning to you. That is different. Because after being in that Two of Swords reversed energy, after realizing you could not keep waiting for someone else to decide whether they were going to meet you, honestly, something shifted. You stopped trying to pull clarity out of someone who kept hiding behind confusion. You stopped over-explaining. You stopped translating your pain into softer words, just so they would not feel uncomfortable. You stopped making yourself smaller so the connection could feel less threatening to them. And I want to say this gently, okay? You did not become cold. You became clear. Yeah. There is a difference between closing your heart out of bitterness and protecting your heart out of wisdom. And I feel like this Page of Cups is showing that your softness is still there. But now it is not being handed to someone who keeps dropping it. Your love is still real. Your heart is still warm. Your capacity to care is still beautiful. But now, you are learning that your tenderness needs a safe place to land. Give me a second. Because that feels important. This person's inconsistencies eventually became the lesson. Not because you deserved the confusion, but because the confusion showed you where you were abandoning yourself to keep access to someone else's affection. Maybe before, you would have reached out first. Maybe before, you would have softened the conversation. Maybe before, you would have said, "It's okay," when it really was not okay. But something in you started saying, "No, I can love someone and still choose peace. I can miss someone and still not chase them. I can understand their fear and still not carry it for them." That is growth. And I feel like this masculine can feel that. They can feel that your energy is not reaching the same way. They can feel that you are not sitting at the edge of the connection, waiting for a crumb of reassurance. They can feel that the place they used to return to, without fully accounting for themselves, has changed. And that is what makes the loss feel real. Not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped abandoning yourself. And now we have the Emperor. Reversed. Okay, that is strong. Because the Emperor upright can be structure, responsibility, steadiness, protection, someone who knows how to hold something with maturity. Someone who does not just feel, but knows how to show up with consistency. But reversed, this is where control becomes avoidance. This is where pride becomes a wall. This is where someone wants to be seen as strong, but they are not actually being emotionally responsible. And I feel like this masculine is sensing now that the old way does not work anymore. Yeah. They can feel that they cannot just come back with the same energy and expect you to open the door like nothing happened. They can feel that your heart is not sitting there unguarded, waiting to be chosen whenever they finally feel ready. And that does not mean you are being cruel. No. It means you are no longer making your peace dependent on their ability to figure themselves out. Give me a second. Because this Emperor reversed is showing someone who may have thought they had more control over this connection than they actually did. They may have thought, if I pull away, they will still be there. If I go silent, they will still understand. If I avoid the conversation, maybe the connection will just hold itself together until I'm ready. But love cannot be held together by one person's patience forever. And I feel like that is the realization hitting them. Your healing became the mirror. Your quietness became the message. Your peace became the boundary. Not a loud boundary, not a punishing boundary, just an energetic one. Like, I love myself too much now to keep standing in confusion and calling it devotion. And this is why the apology energy feels more urgent. Not because you are chasing, Not because you are begging. Not because you are trying to pull them back in. But because they are realizing access to your heart is no longer guaranteed. They are realizing that the version of you who would overextend, over-explain, overgive, and keep making room for their silence is not responding the same way anymore. And for someone in Emperor reversed energy, that can be very uncomfortable, because now they cannot hide behind control. They cannot hide behind pride. They cannot hide behind the idea that you will always understand without them having to change. There is a consequence here, a quiet consequence. The door may not be locked, but it is not wide open either. And now the question becomes, what does this apology actually mean for you? And we have the Five of Pentacles, reversed. Okay, that is actually a very fitting place to end this reading. Because Five of Pentacles upright can be that feeling of being left outside, feeling unsupported, feeling like you are looking through the window at warmth, but you are not being invited in. Emotionally, this is the card of abandonment, rejection, scarcity, and wondering why love feels so cold. But reversed? This is where the heart starts coming out of that place. This is where you stop standing outside of someone else's emotional house, hoping they finally open the door. Yeah, and that is what this apology means for you. It means you were not crazy for feeling the coldness. You were not imagining the distance. You were not asking for too much when you wanted warmth, consistency, honesty, presence. You were not being dramatic because your spirit could feel that something was there, but their actions kept making you feel excluded from it. This masculine's realization is, I made it too hard for us. I made love feel like lack. I made someone who cared about me feel left out in the cold. Give me a second, because that is the part that matters. The apology energy may validate what you felt, but it does not mean you have to hand your heart back without discernment. An apology is beautiful when it is honest. It can be healing when it is sincere. But an apology only becomes safe when it is followed by accountability, emotional maturity, and changed behavior, okay? Words can open a conversation, but consistency rebuilds trust. And for some of you, this reading is not about waiting for them to come forward. It is about letting yourself finally breathe because your heart knew the truth. Your body knew the confusion was not normal. Your spirit knew love was not supposed to require that much self-abandonment. So if this person comes forward, you get to listen from a grounded place, not from hunger, not from fear, not from the version of you that was just grateful for a little bit of warmth after so much cold. You get to ask, has something actually changed? Is there accountability here? Is there emotional presence here? Is there peace here? Because love should not make you feel homeless inside yourself. No. Love should not require you to abandon your needs just to be chosen by someone who is still afraid of being real. So take what resonates. Leave what does not. Pray over it, sit with it, and let your peace be the confirmation. If this message found you, I hope it brings softness to the places that had to be strong for too long. Blessings to you. Choose what supports your healing.